Hey everyone, it's Reed. Just wanted to take a couple of minutes today to give you some thoughts. Over the weekend, I was sort of channeling my inner Churchill. I wrote a piece that I'm going to, share with you here called "Darkest Hour," and there's a great movie starring Gary Oldman about the fall of France in 1940, and as he was taking over as prime minister, the idea that there were 300,000 British troops stuck at Dunkirk, that the island very well might have been invaded by the German army, and all of the machinations within the British government trying, the appeasers still trying to appease, and Churchill standing strong athwart history and willing to stand up. And so I just want to share some of my thoughts. And, over this last few weeks, we've been overwhelmed by a Trumpian blitzkrieg on America's government, our institutions, and our politics. And they're taking to heart what Steve Bannon says about your opponents, which is when you have them on the ground, put your foot on their neck. Washington, D.C. has been occupied lock, stock, and barrel. Elon Musk and his acolytes are storming government agencies, leaving confusion, chaos, and fear in their wake. A few brave souls have stood up or walked out rather than comply. Millions more now await their fate. Are they to be fired outright? Are the promises of, that they'll be paid for months to come, are they legitimate? Meanwhile, we're dealing with a blitzkrieg of bullshit and inanity that has once again burned out the eardrums and retinas of what I'd call the mainstream media, as they sit now in the back of the briefing room or in the hallway wondering just how all this happened. They never dare look in the mirror to gaze upon their own complicity. Some are in league with the regime to ensure their tenuous places covering the center of power, or to ensure their oligarch bosses maintain their position in the gang's good graces. In their place, the agents of non-traditional media have risen and moved forward. What happens at the White House is not news as we've known it. It is propaganda, pure and simple, designed to distract, enrage, and obscure the worst acts with just enough gold dust to give the whole scam the veneer of legitimacy. The would-be defenders of the Capitol, the Democrats, are prostrate. Their flaccid responses to and questioning of Trump's worst nominees, Kash Patel comes to mind, reminds Americans of all political persuasions of that party's unwillingness or inability to stand and fight for anything or anyone other than a narrow umbra of interests of which voters have routinely and repeatedly rejected, either with their votes or their apathy. Those leaders who speak of, quote, common ground are admitting their willingness to collaborate. Beltway Democrats are too conflicted, scared, or focused on preserving what they have to be a qualified opposition. There can be no accommodation. There can be no cooperation. If you believe that Donald Trump, Elon Musk, or any of those around them are willing to make you a deal, you're so blind as to be unfit for the fight. Further, when given the opportunity to put their best players on the field, you can read my piece over at Substack on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they refuse to do so in the name of seniority. They have seniority in spades as their leadership, official and otherwise, came of age in the 1960s and 1970s, before I was born even. Now, Abraham Lincoln said something that I thought is important. He said, quote, when the people rise in masses in behalf of the Union and the liberties of their country, truly it may be said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against them. He said that before the Civil War actually started. But where does that leave us, the masses who might rise on behalf of the Union? First, we must understand our position and that of our opponents. Throughout history, I'm not sure I've read of an empire intentionally dismantling itself, but that is our state. Tens of millions of Americans, perhaps hundreds of millions of humans around the world, will be directly affected and hurt by the actions we've seen in these few weeks, and we'll see more in coming days. During his first speech in the House of Commons, Winston Churchill declared that he had nothing to give but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. For now, Washington, D.C. and its battles are beyond us. We must dedicate our time, toil, and tears not to doom scrolling, but to ensuring those around us are united. We must build the capacity to fight when the time comes. We must identify, promote, and support those new and young voices in our midst who will help lead us into the future. When we see Trump's goons on the horizon, we will lock arms and defend our cities, towns, and our communities. We will do all we can to protect our neighbors. We will defend our ability to speak out and our children's ability to learn what they should and read what they would. Every library should be a redoubt. None of this is easy. None of it is fast. We find ourselves in our own Dunkirk, on the beaches, the enemy at our backs. We will reestablish ourselves soon as patriotic Americans ready to do all they can on behalf of our neighbors and countrymen. For now, we must understand what we face, but never, ever lose the belief that we will prevail. Everybody, I hope you'll go to my link tree and follow me there and go to my Substack, also called The Homefront, and sign up. Thanks to everybody who's doing this work, and we'll see you soon.